This is the Adult Attachment Group project. The participants in this group are Joseph, Michaela, Carla, Peyton, and Jacob. This is Michaela. I did the first part. I am responsible for doing the attachment theories / background / previous research. Attachment theory states that humans are born with a need to form close emotional bonds with a caregiver, and that such a bond will develop during the first 6 months of a child's life if the caregiver is appropriately responsive. The central theme of attachment theory is that primary caregivers who are available and responsive to an infant's needs allow the child to develop a sense of security. The infant knows that the caregiver is dependable, which creates a secure base for the child to then explore the world. Now moving on to previous studies on attachment. John Bowlby was the first attachment theorist. He described attachment as a lasting physical connectedness between human beings. Bowlby was interested in understanding the separation anxiety and distress that children experience when separated from their primary caregivers. Mary Ainsworth was another figure who made a lasting impact on attachment theory. One of her most famous studies is called the Strange Situation. In the study, researchers observed children between the ages of 12 and 18 months as they responded to a situation in which they were briefly left alone and then reunited with their mothers. They discovered that there was 4 types of attachment. The first type is called secure attachment. Infants with secure attachment will greet their parents with positive emotions. They are also content, engaged, and on task. The second type is called disorganized attachment. Disorganized children are typically angry, depressed, don't follow directions, have a difficult time making friends, and have a lot of confusion or apprehension when reuniting with their parent figures. The third type is called anxious ambivalent. Anxious ambivalent children are obviously anxious, tend to be unfocused, insecure, ask a lot of questions, and are wary of strangers. The fourth type of attachment is called avoidant. Avoidant-style children tend to be withdrawn, quiet, also anxious, just like anxious ambivalent, but these children tend to avoid their parents. Previous research has also created what they refer to as stages of attachment. Pre-attachment takes place at birth to 6 weeks, and the baby shows no particular attachment to a specific caregiver. Indiscriminate attachment takes place from 6 weeks to 7 months, and the infant begins to show preference for primary and secondary caregivers, such as parents, nannies, or child care workers, and maybe extended family, like grandparents. Discriminate attachment takes place from 7 months and up, in which the infant grows strong attachment to one specific caregiver. Typically, in this situation, it's the maternal figure. Multiple attachment develops at 10 months, in which the child stops latching to one specific caregiver and begins to grow bonds with the other caregivers. Okay, the next slide was done by Peyton. I am responsible for doing.
We were interested in comparing the answers from male and female respondents. We hypothesized that females would be more likely to have a secure attachment to their parents, friends, and partners, while the male respondents would be more likely to have anxious, ambivalent, disorganized, or avoidant attachment styles. We believe that the differences in how babies of different genders are treated could contribute to these attachment styles. Male infants are less likely to be comforted when they are distressed. You might see a male baby being left to cry it out while a female baby would be comforted. Even if appropriate attention is given to males during infancy, they will likely receive less comfort from their parents and families as they age. Some of the questions in our survey asked about emotional openness with the people in the respondent's life. As we know, our society does not take too kindly to men expressing emotions. We believe that these factors could play a part in the development of attachment styles.
Okay, these are the age demographics from our survey. We had 36 respondents, and it was split right down the middle. We had 18 males and 18 females. The males, the mean age was a bit younger, it was 32.28, where the mean age for females was 37.12. The standard deviation for both groups was the same at 13.14. The age range for males was 18 to 67, and the age range for females was 21 to 71. This part was recorded by Jacob.
Like many other class projects, Google Forms was used. It permits easy survey creation, capture of data, and data extraction. All the hard work that interviewers had to do is now just a click of a button. For those of you who haven't taken stats yet, convenient sampling is where you get your participants, in our case respondents, from a population that is close at hand. This means that we ask friends, family, and put it out on social media. Needless to say, our phone books were exhausted. Even some asked if we'd been hacked. We recorded our data over 4 individual domains. We calculated relationship-specific attachment for each: mother, father, partner, and friend. For those without a father or mother figure, they were asked to use a mother-like figure or father-like figure. We also use these scores then to average them and come up with a global or general attachment style. Our survey had a whopping 36 questions. We used Likert-style questions on a scale from 1 to 7. If you haven't seen one, here's a sample of 3 of our questions. Now, the upside to this many questions is we got a lot of data. Notice how some of them cannot be calculated the same way, meaning that if we average the scores, that is, they would come out wrong. This is where the researcher needs to do what's called reverse keying. Reverse keying basically means if there's a 1 for the answer, then to calculate it as a 7. Now our data can be easily averaged as part of our attachment score since they all line up. Our professor was talking about this in our Chapter 3 lecture. On the bottom, it shows one of those scary looking Excel formulas that we had to use for our computation.
These were the results of our survey for the attachment style to mother. Obviously, secure dominated this category, but avoidant was in second place, and disorganized and anxious were a little bit lower. These are the results of the attachment style to father. They are really similar to mother in the way that the results are displayed. It is interesting, though, to note that the avoidant was the exact same for males and females. This is the results. Attachment style to partner. Clearly, secure dominated this category as well. And finally, attachment style to friend. Secure dominated this category as well. And then this is global attachment style overall. So mainly in most of the categories, secure typically dominated, with avoidant coming in around the same as disorganized and anxious. Okay, this part was recorded by Joseph.
Conclusion. According to the results of the survey, it did indeed show that females would have a more secure attachments to their parents, partners, and friends, agreeing with our original hypothesis. Not only did the results show this, but they also showed that females appeared to be less avoidant, disorganized, and anxious. These results may also agree with our hypothesis, as avoidant, disorganized, and anxious attachment styles can all be caused by a lack of care provided by the parental figures that raise male children. If male babies are less nurtured physically or emotionally, this may lead to a less secure attachment, as shown in the results of the survey. Attachment styles affect people of all ages, genders, races, or in general, all mammals that fall under the category human. However, these attachment styles don't necessarily define a person's life or reassure that it'll be successful. Attachment styles brought forth through upbringing only aid in the individual interactions a person may have in their day-to-day life and the way they view or react to those interactions. Having a secure attachment style only increases something like the likelihood of an individual's likability. Not to mention, attachment styles may even change over time, becoming more or less secure. Whatever the attachment style, anyone can have a bright future as they develop and navigate life, as long as they learn to understand themselves and how they add to the world. Conclusion.